Alright guys, we're going to do our Chapter 3 test review for core. So first things first, change 21 over 4 into a mixed number. Well, to change an improper fraction into a mixed number, you divide. Top in, bottom out. Make sure you write down everything that I write down because you are going to be able to use this test review on the test. And we want to make sure that if you get to a problem like this on your test, that you're going to know exactly what to do because you've copied down exactly how to do the problem. Okay, so sorry, back up here. Top in, bottom out. 4 goes into 21 5 times without going over, so minus 20 is 1. Now I can write my mixed number. Think of it like a clock. You always start at noon. So 5 and 1/4. Okay, 5 and 1/4. Make sure you write this down because although you may think you understand this now, and you know you understand it, when you get to the test, you could just completely blank. I get it, it happens. Okay, so make sure you have this written down so you can remember, oh yeah, that's how I do it. Okay, so 5 and 1/4. Number 2, change 6 and 4/5 into an improper fraction. Well, in order to do that, I'm going to pull that out over here so it's bigger. We need to multiply, then add. So 5 times 6 is 30. And 30 plus 4 is 34. So I'm going to write that over here. And then 30 plus 4 is 34. So 34 is our new numerator. And we keep the same denominator, so over 5. The denominator stays the same. Alright, 34 over 5. Number 3, what is the least common denominator of 3/8 and 5/6? Well, to find the least common denominator, we're going to start to list out the factors of 8 and 6. Okay? I know that to find a common denominator, you could just do 8 times 6, but that won't be the least common denominator, so make sure you look at what the question's asking you. So let's start with 8. I'm going to come over here. That would be 8. Remember, factors are multiples. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, I'll stop there. Let's go with 6, 6, 12, 18, 24. Oh, there's the first number that we have in common. So that is my least common denominator. So that's how you find the least common denominator. Write out the factors and find the first number that they have in common. Okay, number 4, name at least 3 decimal expressions that have a product, that means we're multiplying, of 0.36. Well, first off, let's just figure out what are factors of 36. So what numbers multiply together to get 36? Well, I know that 12 times 3 will get me 36. Okay, but I want to get 0.36. So if there's 2 numbers behind a decimal here, that means in my factors, I need 2 numbers behind a decimal point. So you could put 1 in between the 1 and 2 and 1 in front of the 3. I'm going to put this one in front of the 12. So I've got 2 numbers behind a decimal. So now I can go 1 2 times to the left. So that gets me 0.36. Another one, you could do 0.9 times 0.4. 9 times 4 is 36. And there are 1 2 numbers behind a decimal. So move it twice to the left. You get 0.36 again. Okay. What about 0.36 times 1? 36 times 1 is 36, and there's 1 2 numbers behind a decimal, so that would get me 0.36 also. You could have 0.6 times 0.6. You could have 1.2 times 3. You could have 0.09 times 4. It could keep going on. Alright, as long as these numbers multiply together to get 36 and you only have 2 numbers behind a decimal in your factors, you'll be good to go. Okay, number 5. We are going to multiply. Remember, numbers next to each other in parentheses mean to multiply. There is no operation in between these. It's not saying you need to add, subtract, or divide. Okay, so if it doesn't tell you what to do, they're just right next to each other, that means to multiply. so this one has 3 digits. 1, 2, 3. This one has 2 digits. 1, 2. I'm going to put the one with more digits on top. So 31.2 on top and 0.6 on the bottom. Now remember, when you're multiplying, your second number needs to be pushed as far right as possible. If you thought of this as 312 times 6, you would put the 6 underneath the 2 as far right as possible. When you're multiplying decimals, you do not have to line them up. They may line up, in this case they do, but you do not have to always line them up. Okay, 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 1 plus 1 is 7. And 6 times 3 is 18. Add a 0. Now I can start my next row. 0 times 2 is 0. 0 and 0. Add down. 1872. Now there are 2 numbers behind a decimal point, so 1, 2 to the left. So 18.72 is my answer. Okay, number 6. First off, a negative times a negative is a positive. So my answer is going to be positive. So I'm going to figure out my sign, write it out here. That way I don't forget about it. Now I'm just going to look at my fractions. So remember, multiplying fractions ain't no problem. Top times the top, bottom times the bottom. So top times top, bottom times bottom. 5 times 2 is 10, and 7 times 5 is 35. Okay, but this is not simplified. I can divide both of these by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. This is in simplest form, and my answer is positive, so positive 2/7 is in simplest form. That's my answer. Number 7, 4 times 2 and 1/2. Well, I got 2 things I need to change here. I need to make the 4 a fraction, and I cannot multiply by a mixed number. Okay, so I need to change this mixed number to an improper fraction, kind of like we did up here. Okay, so you're going to mama the 2 1/2, and you're going to put a 1 underneath the 4 to make it a fraction. So 4 over 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 plus 1 is 5, so this becomes 5 halves. So let's rewrite. 4 over 1 times 5 over 2. Now, top times top, bottom times bottom. That gets me 20 over 2. I need to simplify this, so I'm going to top in, bottom out. 2 goes into 2 one time, minus 2 is 0, bring down my 0. 2 goes into 0, 0 times. So the whole number 10 is my answer. Number 8, we're dividing, so dividing fractions. First off, a negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative. So I'm going to write my negative out there so I don't forget about it. Now, I need to turn the 4 into a fraction, so I'm going to put a 1 under it. Okay? So now I have negative 4 over 1 divided by 2/5. When we're dividing fractions, you keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep the first fraction the same. We're going to change division to multiplication, and we're going to flip our second fraction, or use the reciprocal. Reciprocal just means to flip it. So 2/5 becomes 5 over 2. Now, top times top, bottom times bottom. 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 2 is 2. If you remember, we did this up here. Up here I divided. Right here I'm going to show you simplifying. So if I divide it by 2, you get 10 over 1, which is really just the whole number 10, but it's negative, so negative 10 is going to be my answer. Number 9, 3 1/3 divided by 1 7/8. I cannot have mixed numbers, so I need to mama both of these to change them into improper fractions. So 3 times 3 is 9, 9 plus 1 is 10, so I've got 10 over 3 divided by 8 times 1 is 8, and 8 plus 7 is 15 over 8. You keep the same denominator. Now that I've written these as improper fractions, I can keep, change, flip. So keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and we're going to flip the second fraction, so 8 over 15. Top times top, bottom times bottom, that's 80 over 45. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change this improper fraction into a mixed number like we did up here on number 1. So top in, bottom out. 45 goes into 80 one time, minus 45 leaves me with 35. Now, whole number, numerator, denominator. So 1 and 35 45ths. But this fraction, 35 over 45, is not simplified. So I'm going to divide each of those by 5. You get 7 over 9. So 1 and 7/9 is my simplified mixed number. Alright, number 10, 51.62 divided by 2.9. Let's remember when we're dividing decimal, FISO. First number inside, second number outside. You cannot have a decimal outside your house. You have to make this a whole number. So I'm going to move it one time to the right. What I do outside, I must also do inside. So move it once and please take it straight up so that you don't forget where it's supposed to go. Now we're going to divide like normal. 29 goes into 51 one time, 51 one time, minus 29 leaves me with 22. Bring down my 6. 29 into 226. Well, off the top of my head, I have no clue. So I'm going to come over here and just pick a number to multiply by. So I'm going to say 8. Let's see, 8 times 9 is 72, 8 times 2 is 16, plus 7 is 23, 232, oh, that's just too big. So let's try 29 times 7. 9 times 7 is 63, 7 times 2 is 14, plus 6 is 20. So let's use 7. So we're going in 226, 7 times. Make sure you line this up appropriately. Minus 203 leaves us with 23. Bring down my 2. And I know 29 goes into 232 8 times. So minus 232 is 0. So 17.8 is my answer. Okay, number 11. Nails cost, 13 cents per pound. So I know the nails are 13 cents. Screws are 21 cents. So I'm going to box that so I can see that the box is screws and the circle is nails. I just like to separate my information. Michelle bought 1.5 pounds of nails. So 1.5 goes with nails, and I've been circling nail information. And 3.4 pounds of screws. So I'm going to box that. How much did she pay for the nails and the screws? Let's figure that out first, and then in the end we'll round to the nearest cent. Okay, so first things first, I need to figure out how do I figure out how much the nails cost and how much do the screws cost. Well, I know that 1 pound of nails is 13 cents. She bought 1.5 pounds. So I need to multiply these two numbers together. 1.5 times 0.13. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 1 plus 1 is 4. 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. When you end up adding down, you get 5, 9, and 1. But I have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal, so 1, 2, 3. So the nails cost 0.195. Let's figure out how much the screws cost. 3.4 times 0.21. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. Add my 0. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 3 is 6. When you add down, you get 4. Okay, you get 714, and there are 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal, so 1, 2, 3. Now to figure out the total cost, I know the nails are this much and the screws are this much. Well, how much did she pay for both of them? We need to add them together. So when you're adding decimals, you must line them up. It's 9, 9, bring down your decimal point. Now I'm going to round to the nearest cent. So 0.909, the hundredths place is the cent place. So I want to round to the nearest hundredth. That means I need to look at the number behind it. This 9, because it's 5 or greater, tells me that this 0 needs to round up. So 0.909 is going to round to 0.91. So it's going to cost her 91 cents for both the nails and the screws. Okay? So now, sorry, I'm trying to move the cord out of the way. Okay, number 12. On Monday, the high temperature in Austin was 57.2 degrees Fahrenheit, and the high temperature in Chicago was 26 degrees Fahrenheit. How many times greater was the high temperature in Austin than the high temperature in Chicago on Monday? Hint, 26 times some number is 57.2. Okay, so how many times greater was the high temperature in Austin than the high temperature in Chicago? So Austin is obviously bigger, so 26 times some number is going to get us 57.2. Well, to figure out what this number is, we need to work backwards. So 57.2 divided by 26. Remember FISO? First in, second out. I'm going to write this over here so I have more room. 57.2 divided by 26. There's no decimal number outside my house. It's already a whole number, so I don't need to move anything. So I'm just going to take this straight up. 26 goes into 57 2 times. That would be 52. Subtract, you get 5. Bring down your 2. And 26 goes into 52 2 times. So minus 52 is 0. So 2.2 is our answer. Now to check this, we could take this and plug it back in here and do 26 times 2.2, and that should get us 57.2, and it will. So that's how you can check your answer. So 2.2. Number 13, a mother tiger is 11 times longer than a tiger cub. So that's an important word for us, times. So I'm going to draw a picture. Here's Mom. She's 11 times longer than her cub. Okay. How long is the mother tiger if the tiger cub is 1.28 feet long? Okay, so here's the cub, 1.28. Mom is 11 times bigger than that. So to figure out my answer, I need to multiply 1.28 times 11. 8 times 1 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Add my 0. Again, 8, 2, 1. Add down. When you add down, you get 8, 4, 1. I'm going to write that over here. I know it's hard to see. I've got 1, 2 numbers behind a decimal, so 1, 2. So Mom would be 14.08 feet long. Let's check this for reasonableness. If Mom is 11 times bigger than the cub, here's the cub. Does that make sense? 11 times greater than that? Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Okay, it's not way far off. It's not 140. 140.8, if I had the decimal point in the wrong spot, well, that doesn't seem like it's 11 times greater than that. So just check your answer for reasonableness. Number 14. Miss Farrar is building a rectangular patio. So here's my rectangular patio. It's 7 2/5 feet long and 9 2/7 feet wide. What is the area of her patio? Well, the area of a rectangle is length times width. So length times width. So 7 2/5 times 9 2/7. Well, first things first, I cannot have mixed numbers when I multiply, so I need to mama both of these. Change them into improper fractions. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2, that would be 37 over 5, times. 7 times 9 is 63, and 63 plus 2 is 65. Keep the same denominator over 7. Now, top times top, bottom times bottom. I know 5 times 7 is 35. I got to figure out what this big old number out here is. So 37 times 65. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 4 is 22. Add down. I get 2,405. So the area of her patio, 2,405 over 35 feet. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I need a whole number or a decimal or something. Mixed number. Okay, so I'm going to take this fraction and I'm going to turn it into a mixed number. We're going to do that by dividing. So top in, bottom out. 35 won't go into 2 or 24, but it will go into 240. We just have to figure out how many times without going over. So let's see, I'm going to pick 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. 210. Let's see if it'll go over, or if I can go one more time. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24. Oh, that's too big. So 6 minus 210 leaves me with 30. Bring down my 5. Well, I need to go 305, so neither of those will work. Let's try 35 times 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 4 is 31. 315 is too big, so 35 times 8. 8 times 3 is 24, sorry, plus 4 is 28. So 8 times minus 280 is, let's see, 25. So I've got 68 and 25 35ths. 68 and 25 35ths. But 25 over 35 is not simplified, so I need to divide both of those by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So 68 and 5/7 feet squared is the area of her patio. Okay, number 15. Find the area of this rectangle. We know area is length times width. So 9.7 times 4.2. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 9 plus 1 is 19. 7 times 4 is 28. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 2 is 38. Add down. I get 4074, but I have 2 numbers behind a decimal, so move it 2 times to the left. So that is 40.74 feet squared. All right, number 16. Franklin read 5/7 of the pages in his 147-page book. How many pages has he read, and how many pages does he have left to read? So I know he's read 5/7 of, which we know means to multiply, the pages in his 147-page book. So I'm going to do 5/7 times 147. I need to put a 1 under that, so I can do top times top, bottom times bottom. I know 7 times 1 is 7, but I need to do this multiplication over here. 147 times 5. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23. And 5 times 1 plus 2 is 7. So that's 735 over 7. So he's read 735 over 7 pages in his book. That doesn't make any sense. So let's change this to a mixed number. Top in, bottom out. 7 goes into 7 one time. Minus 7 is 0. Bring down my 3. 7 goes into 3 0 times. So minus 0 is still 3. Bring down my 5. 7 goes into 35 5 times. Minus 35 is 0. So he has read 105 pages. But I still need to figure out how many does he have left to read. So left to read. Well, if there's 147 pages in the book and he's already read 105 of them, I can just subtract. 42 pages left to read. So that's one way you can figure out how much he has left to read, or you can say, oh, Well, he's read 5/7, so he still needs to read 2/7. So 2/7 of 147, we could do the same thing. 2/7 times 147. Let's see, 147 times 2 is 294, and then you could change that to a mixed number. 294 divided by 7. 7 goes into 29 4 times. 7 goes into 14 2 times. So I got 42 here and 42 here, so check, I did it right. Alright. Alright guys, last page, number 17. Brady has 6 3/4 gallons of water. So I'm going to draw us a picture. This whole thing is 6 3/4 gallons of water. Okay? He plans on using 3/4 gallons to water his plants each day. Alright, so each day he's going to use 3/4 gallons. So that's day 1. Day 2. Okay, it's going to keep going down by 3/4. That would keep going. Alright, how many days will he be able to water his plants? So he's got this whole thing of 6 3/4, and he wants to divide that into smaller sections of 3/4. So how many days can he get out of this? So 6 3/4, the whole thing, divided by how much he uses each day, 3/4. Well, first off, I need to change this mixed number into an improper fraction. So I'm going to mama. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 is 27, so I've got 27 over 4 divided by 3/4. But when I'm dividing fractions, you have to keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep, change, and flip. Now top times top, bottom times bottom. I know 4 times 3 is 12. I need to figure out 27 times 4. 8, 2, that would be 108. So I've got 108 over 12. I need to change this back into a mixed number. So 108 divided by 12. 12 goes into 108 9 times with no remainder. So I have a whole number of 9. So 9 days. Number 18. Anna wants to purchase 2 pairs of shoes that cost $14.95 each. How much change will Anna receive if she gives the cashier $40? Round to the nearest cent. So I know she's going to buy 2 pairs of shoes. They're $14.95 each. So one pair costs $14.95 and she's buying 2 of them. So you could either add $14.95 plus $14.95, or you can multiply by 2. I'm going to multiply by 2. Either way will work. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 9 is 18. Plus 1 is 19. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. And 2 times 1 is 2. And there are 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal. So her shoes cost her $29.90. So let's say I'm the cashier. I'm like, okay, Anna, your total is $29.90. Anna's going to hand me $40. So to figure out how much I'm going to give back to her, I'm going to subtract. $40 minus $29.90. Now please remember, when you're adding and subtracting decimals, you have to line them up. I'm going to bring my decimal point straight down so I don't forget. 0 minus 0 is 0. I can't do 0 minus 9, so I'm going to need to borrow, but I can't borrow from a 0. So I'm going to go over to 4, borrow from that. This becomes 10. Now I can borrow. That's 9. This becomes 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 9 is 0. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So I should give her back $10.10. Now to check this, I could say, well, $29.90 plus $10.10 should get us $40. So let's see. I'll bring that down. 0 plus 0 is 0. 9 plus 1 is 10. 9 plus 1 is 10. And that's 4. So we got $40. So check, I did that right. Number 19. Mr. Pappas wants to carpet a floor in his basement. The floor has an area of 482.5 square feet. If the room is 25 feet long, how wide is it? So we know that the area of a rectangle is length times width. So I need to figure out what is this number that's going to get me 482.5 square feet. Well, to figure out this number, I need to do the opposite. I need to divide. So I'm going to take my total area, 482.5, and I'm going to divide it by the length, 25. So remember, FISO, your first number goes inside your house. Your second number goes outside. The number outside my house is already a whole number, so I don't need to move any decimals, so I'm going to take this decimal point straight up. 25 won't go into 4, but it will go into 48 one time. So minus 25, that gets me 23, bring down my 2. 25 goes into 232. Well, off the top of my head, I don't know. So let's do 25 times 8. That gets me 200. Let's try one more. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 is 22. Oh, that's really close. So 9 minus 225 leaves me with 7. Bring down my 5. Sorry, I'm running out of room. 25 goes into 75 3 times. Minus 75 is 0. So 19.3 should be my width. Now, how could I check this? Well, length times width should equal our area. So if I multiplied 19.3 and 25, I should get 482.5. So that's how you can check your work. Number 20. Martha plays on a volleyball team. In 3 games, she scored 2/3 of the total number of points her team scored. Her team scored 12 points in the first game, 21 points in the second game, and 18 points in the third game. What was the number of points Martha scored in these 3 games? Well, first things first, I need to know what is the total number of points. So I need to add 12 plus 21 plus 18. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 8 is 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a total of 51 points. And she scored 2/3 of the total points. Remember, of means to multiply. So 2/3 of the 51 points. Put a 1 under it to make it a fraction. Top times top, bottom times bottom. That's 102 over 3. Well, to say that she scored 102 over 3 points doesn't make any sense. So I need to take this and let's divide. Top in, bottom out. 3 goes into 10 3 times. Minus 9 is 1. Bring down my 12. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So she scored 34 points. Well, let's check this for reasonableness. She scored 2/3 of the total points, so 2/3 of 51. That's almost all of the 51 points, so that would make sense. Yes, 34 of the 51 points. Yes, that makes sense. So last one, number 21. Mrs. Hill is making t-shirts for each of her 36 band students and 24 theater students. The materials for each t-shirt are $3.25. What's the total cost of the materials Miss Hill will use to make these t-shirts? Well, I know each t-shirt is $3.25. She needs this for each student. She's got 36 band students and 24 theater. So let's add those together to figure out her total number of students. 60. So she has 60 total students and she needs a shirt for each student. Each shirt is $3.25. So instead of adding that 60 times, a faster way to add is to multiply. So let's do $3.25 times 60. Remember, 325 goes on top because it has 1, 2, 3 digits, and 60 only has 2 digits. One with more digits goes on top. 0 times 5 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, and 0 times 3 is 0. Add a 0. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Add down. And I have 1, 2 numbers behind a decimal. So Miss Hill spent $195 on all the t-shirts, or the materials to make the t-shirts. So please make sure that you have everything copied down that I did with you, because you are going to be able to use this test review on your test. And you want to make sure you know how to work out each problem. Okay, do you multiply? Do you divide? Do I need to add stuff together? Anything like that. Okay, so your test is very similar to these word problems, and there's a lot of word problems on the test, so make sure you have this information copied down so you know exactly how to work each word problem.